remember the November week where Jeff Driscoll tested positive for COVID, and he had to be taken out as a backup quarterback, but that because of close contact with Driscoll in the quarterback room, the other 3 QBs for the Denver Broncos were also deemed high risk and were taken out of the game. They were deemed ineligible. So the Broncos were down 4 quarterbacks for this game. It was at Mile High, I think, against the Saints, right? And it was so dire that the Broncos asked whether they could suit up their quality control coaches. They had asked the NFL to either delay the game, to push back the game, to reschedule the game, or if they could at least suit up their quality control assistant coaches, who apparently were former quarterbacks, so that they could at least have a legitimate QB under center. NFL said no. You might remember this week we're wondering, why is the NFL being such hard asses about this? Why are they forcing the Denver Broncos to play without a quarterback? Remember this? And we're wondering, how is this going to look? Is Roger Goodell being too much of a hard ass? This seems like kind of too rigid. What are the Broncos going to look like? What's the offense going to look like? And the Broncos decide the only answer they have is a wide receiver on their practice squad named Kendall Hinton. And he had played quarterback in college. And he was a converted wide receiver, now playing practice squad wide receiver. The Broncos come out, and as you might imagine, Kendall Hinton is a disaster. He ends up the day, if you can bring me his line, Mraz, he ends up the day with a negative quarterback rating. Hinton can't complete a pass. He's basically running a bunch of RPO. He's basically running an old wishbone offense from the 30s or 40s. They can't even complete a forward pass. It's just an absolute nightmare the entire day. And the Broncos are out of this game super early because they simply do not have a quarterback.
He was 1 of 9 for an 11.1 completion percentage, a QBR of 0.1.
0.1, not 1.
0.1.
A tenth of a point was his QBR.
Yeah. A tenth of a point, 0.1. Yeah. Average yards per attempt, negative 8.6.
He completed 1 pass.
1 pass for 11.1 yards.
9 passes attempted. And
yes.
the Broncos lose by 17 or 21 or something like that.
2 picks.
1 of 9, 2 interceptions, negative QBR, and a tenth of a point in quarterback rating or something like that.
And they lost 31-3.
31-3. Okay. So we come out of this week and we're like, boy, was that fair to the Broncos? Did the NFL do them dirty, do them wrong? And this is the story. In the quarterback room, remember, everybody around the NFL had to wear wristwatches to make sure the NFL could keep tabs on social distancing, and so that the wristbands would flash if you were too close to a teammate. Remember? And so everybody in the NFL was wearing basically an advanced Apple Watch. These Apple Watches were not Apple. They were designed by a German engineering firm, and they were being used to make sure everybody understood their social distance in the facility. And the Broncos quarterback room tried to pull one over on the NFL. They took off their watches, they took their wristbands, and they put them in the 4 corners of the quarterback room. They put 1 in each on a table of the 4 corners of the quarterback room, and then got together in the middle of the room to be close together to watch film. Just so happens, Jeff Driscoll tests positive. Now, how did the NFL know this? The NFL confirmed with surveillance footage. The Broncos had to send them surveillance footage of the room, and the NFL saw the Broncos QB room was trying to screw over the rules, skirt the rules, and they said, you don't get a break then. You don't get a pass. Now, number one, I am oftentimes highly critical of Roger Goodell. In this case, I applaud him. We didn't know this. The NFL didn't put this on Front Street. Nobody exposed this last year. That is the right move. The NFL said, you're trying to screw around, you're trying to jump, you're trying to get out, skirt the rules, cheat the system, then screw you. No, you don't get to suit up your assistant quality control coach. No, you don't get this game forfeited or pushed in the past. No, you don't get this rescheduled. You go out there and you play with Kendall Hinton, a wide receiver from your practice squad, and you figure it out. And that's the absolute right move by Goodell. It's the right move by the NFL, the right move by Goodell. Number two, what does this say about that quarterback room? Remember, Drew Lock is the starter. And Drew Lock is being given an opportunity to win this job, to be the franchise quarterback. And what is one of the things we hear about? Is he mature enough? Is he ready? And here he is as the starter, screwing around with watch bands, wristwatches, personal trackers, and trying to skirt the system. So what? He can sit and watch film next to Jeff Driscoll and Blake Bortles? What is that? And that's going to be your franchise quarterback? Could you imagine Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, anybody worth their salt at quarterback being like, hey, I got an idea. Yeah, why don't we all get together in the middle of the room? And we'll fake like we're apart so we can watch film together. For what? To sit around the same tablet? The same Microsoft Surface? Who cares? Sit on your corners of the room, 6 to 10 feet apart or whatever, and watch it like that. Like everybody else in the NFL. I did some digging. Sources tell me it was actually Blake Bortles' idea, which is also all types of perfect, is it not? That Blake Bortles, who was given the reins of the franchise in Jacksonville. Hey, man, we want you to be the guy. Came up with this brilliant plan. Why don't we try to fake and game the system so we can all watch film together? Incredible. And imagine being Drew Lock and listening to Blake Bortles. Bortles has almost nothing to lose. You've got everything to lose. And these are your quarterbacks. These are your leaders. Doesn't say much about Drew Lock. Says everything you need to know about Blake Bortles and tells you why the NFL did what it did. I applaud him. I couldn't believe it when I read that. Are you kidding me? How unprofessional, how immature, how disgraceful that is. In the middle of a freaking pandemic, you're like, yeah, let's game the system. Let's all watch film together in the middle of the room and fake like we're not. Like you're kindergartners at nap time faking like you're asleep. I mean, are you children, complete children, and you're Drew Lock and you have the job and now you're listening to Blake Bortles to throw that all into a blender, into a trash can? Incredible. Is it not? Is it not just incredible? Is it not just incredible? I mean, that says it all right there. Says it all.
We got to do better, D.A.